3 days had passed since the alien crew learned about Earth's integration process. Captain Jiwoo sat in her assigned quarters, staring out the window at the human facility. The view was pleasant. Gardens where humans and aliens worked together, laboratories where species from across the galaxy shared their knowledge, recreational areas where former enemies played games and told stories. It all looked so peaceful. So right. She shook her head, trying to clear the fog that seemed to cloud her thoughts more each day. The nanobots were working exactly as the humans had promised. Her anger about the situation had faded to mild concern. Her fear had become simple curiosity. Even her loyalty to the Galactic Council felt less important than it had before. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. Engineer Donghwan entered, looking troubled but calm. "Captain, I managed to send a warning message to the Galactic Council before they disabled our communication systems." "Good," Jiwoo replied, though she wasn't sure why that mattered anymore. "What did you tell them?" "I told them that Earth uses mind control technology to convert hostile aliens into willing collaborators," Donghwan said. He sat down heavily in a chair. "But I'm not sure I believe that's a bad thing anymore." Jiwoo nodded. She was experiencing the same confusion. Logically, she knew that forced mental conversion should horrify her. But emotionally, she found herself admiring the elegance of the human solution. Why fight wars when you could simply help everyone get along? Communications Officer Kyung-soo appeared in the doorway. His usually neat uniform was wrinkled, and his eyes showed the strain of fighting against the nanobots' influence. "Captain, we need to make a decision soon. The humans say the integration process is almost complete." "What kind of decision?" she asked, though part of her already knew the answer. "Whether to accept what they've done to us or keep resisting until it happens anyway," Kyung-soo said bitterly. But even his bitterness seemed muted now, more sad than angry. Pilot Taeho joined them in the small quarters. Unlike the others, he seemed more relaxed about their situation. "I've been talking to some of the other integrated crew members," he said. "They seem genuinely happy with their new lives. Admiral K-sun showed me the music he's been composing. It's beautiful." "Music?" Jiwoo asked. The Admiral never showed any interest in art before. That's what he said. All those years focused on military strategy and conquest, he never had time to explore his creative side. Taeho smiled slightly. He says the nanobots didn't change who he was. They just removed the barriers that prevented him from becoming who he really wanted to be. Security Chief Nam-woo entered last, his face grim with determination. "I won't accept this," he said firmly. "They have no right to change our minds without permission. It doesn't matter if the result is happiness. The choice should be ours to make." "But Nam-woo," Taeho said gently, "you're fighting against your own best interests. I can see it in your face. You're angry and stressed all the time. Wouldn't you rather feel peaceful and content?" "Not if that peace comes from artificial chemicals controlling my brain," Nam-woo replied. But his voice lacked its usual conviction. A human voice spoke from the room's communication system. "May I join your discussion?" It was philosopher Gyuri, one of the humans who had been assigned to help them through the integration process. "Come in," Jiwoo said automatically. Gyuri entered with her usual calm demeanor. She had spent hours over the past few days talking with each crew member about their concerns and fears. "I understand you're struggling with some difficult questions about free will and personal autonomy. You understand?" Nam-woo said with the last remnants of his anger. "You're the one stealing our free will, are we?" Gyuri asked calmly. "Tell me, Nam-woo, before the nanobots began working, how free were you really? You were controlled by aggressive instincts programmed into you by millions of years of evolution. You were driven by chemical impulses that made you want to hurt others. Were those impulses truly part of your free will, or were they another form of control?" Nam-woo opened his mouth to argue, then stopped. The question was more complex than he had considered. Every sentient being is controlled by their brain chemistry. Gyuri continued. Fear controls you. Anger controls you. Hatred controls you. These emotions make choices for you before your rational mind even has a chance to think. We're not removing your free will. We're expanding it by freeing you from impulses that limit your options. Engineer Donghwan looked up from where he had been staring at his hands. But those emotions are part of what makes us who we are. Without them, are we still the same people? Are you the same person you were as a child? Gyuri asked in return. Your brain chemistry has changed many times throughout your life as you grew and learned. Each change made you different from who you were before. This is just another step in your growth. Captain Jiwoo found herself nodding. The human's logic seemed sound, even elegant. What happens if we choose to embrace the integration process? You'll work with us to prepare for the next group of visitors, Gyuri replied. Your knowledge of Galactic Council operations will help us understand how they're likely to respond to Donghwan's warning message. Together we can plan the most effective way to welcome them and help them through their own integration. And if we choose to resist? You'll be comfortable guests here until the process completes naturally. It will take a few more weeks, but the end result will be the same. You'll be happy, peaceful, and ready to contribute to our growing community. Taeho stood up with sudden decision. I don't want to wait weeks feeling conflicted and unhappy. If this is going to happen anyway, I choose to accept it now. Kyungsoo looked at him with surprise. Just like that? Think about it logically, Taeho replied. We came here to investigate what happened to the vanished fleets. Now we know. They weren't destroyed or enslaved. They were helped to become better versions of themselves. Is that really such a terrible fate? One by one, the crew members made their choices. Taeho and Donghwan chose immediate integration, eager to begin their new lives as productive members of Earth's community. Daein decided to embrace the process after Gyuri showed her the advanced research being conducted in the human laboratories. Only Kyungsoo and Namwoo chose to continue resisting, though their resistance was growing weaker each day. Captain Jiwoo made her decision last. I'll accept integration, she said quietly. If I'm going to change anyway, I'd rather do it willingly. 6 months later, Captain Jiwoo stood in the same briefing room where General Hyunwoo had first explained Earth's defense system. But now she wore a human uniform and carried the rank of integration coordinator. Her job was to help newly arrived aliens understand and accept their transformation. On the main screen, she could see a massive fleet approaching from deep space, hundreds of ships from every major power in the Galactic Council, coming to investigate Donghwan's warning and rescue their missing people. Seeker's Edge had been repaired and upgraded with human technology. Now it served as the flagship of Earth's peaceful contact fleet, with former pilot Taeho at the controls. Incoming transmission from the lead ship, reported the communications officer, a former Zelthari warrior named Hyejin. They're demanding the return of their captured personnel. Jiwoo smiled, feeling genuinely happy for the first time in her life. Soon thousands of her former colleagues would discover the same peace she had found. They would learn to put aside their anger and fear to work together instead of fighting. Open a channel, she ordered. This is Captain Jiwoo of the Earth Integration Fleet. Welcome to our solar system. We've been expecting you, and we're very excited to meet you all. Please proceed to the landing coordinates we're transmitting. We have so much to show you. The cycle was beginning again, just as it had for 50 years. Earth's population of happy converted aliens would grow larger with each rescue mission that came looking for their missing people. And somewhere in the back of Jiwoo's peaceful mind, a tiny part of her original self screamed silently at what she had become. But that part was getting smaller every day. The secure briefing room was smaller and more serious than the cheerful laboratories they had seen before. General Hyunwoo sat across from the alien crew, his uniform crisp and his expression businesslike. Unlike the friendly scientist, he looked like someone who made hard decisions about life and death. I suppose you want to know what really happened to your missing fleets, he said without preamble. The truth is simpler than you might think. We never fought them at all. Captain Jiwoo tried to focus on what he was saying, but her thoughts felt strangely peaceful. The growing calmness in her mind made it hard to feel the alarm she knew she should be experiencing. Fighting is wasteful, General Hyunwoo continued. It destroys resources, kills valuable individuals, and creates lasting hatred between species. We learned long ago that there are better ways to resolve conflicts. Biotechnician Si Jin entered the room, carrying a small device that projected holographic images. Let me show you how our defense system actually works, she said, activating the projector. The hologram showed a typical alien battle fleet approaching Earth, hundreds of warships in formation, weapons charged, ready for conquest. When hostile fleets enter our system, our automated satellites deploy microscopic nanobots, Si Jin explained. These nanobots are too small to be detected by standard sensors. The image changed to show tiny machines spreading through space like invisible clouds. The nanobots infiltrate the attacking ships through their ventilation systems. They're completely harmless to organic tissue, but they have a very specific function. Engineer Donghuan leaned forward, trying to understand through the growing haze in his thoughts. What function? He asked. They target the brain chemistry responsible for aggressive behavior, Si Jin replied. Slowly, over several days, they reduce the production of hormones that cause anger, hostility, and violence. At the same time, they increase the chemicals that promote empathy, cooperation, and social bonding. The hologram showed cross-sections of alien brains, with areas lighting up in different colors as the nanobots did their work. The process is completely painless, Si Jin continued. The subjects don't even realize it's happening. They just gradually begin to see the world differently. Violence starts to seem pointless and cruel. Cooperation begins to feel natural and rewarding. Security Chief Namwu tried to stand up, but his body felt heavy and relaxed. That's mind control, he said, though his voice lacked the anger it should have carried. Not control, General Hyunwoo corrected. Liberation. We're freeing these beings from the biological programming that makes them want to hurt others. Their personalities remain intact. Their memories are unchanged. They simply become better versions of themselves. Psychologist Insu joined them, carrying a tablet full of data. We've studied this process extensively, she said. The subjects report feeling happier and more fulfilled after integration. They form deeper relationships with others. They find joy in creative activities instead of destructive ones. She activated her tablet, showing video recordings of various aliens. Each one was speaking directly to the camera with expressions of genuine contentment. This is Admiral K-Sun from 3 years ago, Insu said, playing one of the recordings. On screen, the familiar Vortani leader looked peaceful and relaxed. I want my people to know that I'm happier than I've ever been, the recorded K-Sun was saying. For too long, I lived with constant anger and the need to dominate others. Now I can see how pointless that was. The humans have shown me a better way to live. The recording changed to show Commander Hyejin, the fierce Zelthari warrior who had spoken at the Galactic Council. She was smiling as she worked alongside human researchers in a laboratory. My old life was full of violence and hatred, recorded Hyejin said. I thought strength meant the ability to destroy my enemies. Now I understand that real strength comes from building things up, not tearing them down. Communications Officer Kyung-soo watched the recordings with growing horror that he couldn't quite feel anymore. You're erasing who they were, he said softly. We're revealing who they really are underneath all that conditioning, Insu replied. Every species in the galaxy has been shaped by evolution to compete and fight for resources. But intelligence means you can choose to be better than your programming. General Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the facility where hundreds of integrated aliens lived and worked. When the first hostile fleet arrived 50 years ago, we could have destroyed them easily. Our defensive technology was already more advanced than anything they possessed. But our philosophers and scientists convinced our leaders to try a different approach, he continued. Instead of killing our enemies, we would cure them of the disease that made them our enemies in the first place. Biotechnician Si Jin brought up new images, showing the integration process from start to finish. The first few fleets took weeks to fully integrate. We were still perfecting the process. Now we can complete the transformation in just a few days. Each successful integration teaches us more, she explained. We learn about new species biology, new forms of aggressive conditioning, new ways to promote peaceful cooperation. We're becoming very good at helping beings find their better nature. Captain Jiwoo found herself genuinely curious about the technical details, though part of her mind recognized that this interest was artificial. How do you deal with species that might be resistant to the nanobots? Every organic brain has the same basic emotional centers, Insu answered. Anger, fear, joy, empathy. The nanobots are designed to work with these universal structures. We've never encountered a species that was completely immune. General Hyunwoo returned to his seat. The beauty of this system is that it's completely self-sustaining. Each integrated fleet adds to our knowledge and capabilities. Their ships become part of our peaceful exploration fleet. Their technology advances our research. Their crew members become enthusiastic advocates for our methods. Soon, he said with quiet satisfaction, we'll have learned from every major species in the galaxy. All of their knowledge, all of their capabilities will be working together toward a common goal of peace and cooperation. Engineer Donghuan struggled to hold on to his original thoughts. What about free will? What about the right to choose your own path in life? You're still free to choose, Insu replied gently. You're just free from the biological impulses that were limiting your choices. Without anger and aggression clouding your judgment, you can make decisions based on reason and compassion instead of fear and hatred. The room fell quiet as the alien crew processed what they had learned. The nanobots in their systems were already beginning to make violence seem unnecessary and cooperation feel natural. Their original mission to investigate Earth's defenses was starting to seem less important than the opportunity to learn from human wisdom. General Hyun-woo checked his watch. The integration process should be nearly complete by now, he said. Soon you'll be ready to make an informed choice about your future. You can fight against these changes and remain our guests until the process runs its course naturally. Or you can embrace your new perspective and help us prepare for the next group of visitors. He smiled, and for the first time it seemed warm and genuine instead of threatening. Either way, you'll be happy with the outcome. Everyone always is. The human facility was nothing like what Captain Ji-woo had expected. Instead of primitive concrete buildings, she found herself walking through corridors that gleamed with polished metal and advanced lighting systems. The humans led them deeper into the complex, past rooms filled with equipment that looked surprisingly sophisticated. This is our main research center, explained the human scientist named So Young as she guided them through a large laboratory. We've learned so much from our previous visitors. Each species brings such unique perspectives to science and technology. Engineer Dong Hwan stopped walking and stared at a nearby workbench. Sitting there, partially dismantled, was what appeared to be a Vortani energy core, the same type that powered Admiral K-sun's battlecruisers. Where did you get this? He asked, pointing at the device. So Young smiled pleasantly. Oh, that's from the Vortani expedition that visited us about 10 years ago. Such brilliant engineers, your people. They taught us so much about energy manipulation. She gestured toward another table. And over there, we're studying Zelthari shield technology. Fascinating stuff. Security Chief Namwoo's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon. You mean the fleets that disappeared? What happened to their crews? Disappeared? So Young looked confused. Oh no, they didn't disappear. They're still here. Many of them work in our research divisions now. Would you like to meet Admiral K-sun? He's in the biosciences wing today. The alien crew exchanged shocked glances. Admiral K-sun was supposed to be back on the Vortani homeworld, leading their space forces. He couldn't be here on Earth. I think there's been some mistake, Captain Ji-woo said carefully. Admiral K-sun never came to Earth. He's the one who sent us to investigate what happened to the vanished fleets. So Young tilted her head, looking genuinely puzzled. That's strange. I spoke with Admiral K-sun just yesterday. He was very excited to hear that more Galactic Council ships were coming. She pressed a button on her communication device. K-sun, could you come to Lab 7, please? We have some visitors who think you're supposed to be somewhere else. A few minutes later, the familiar six-legged form of Admiral K-sun walked into the laboratory. He looked exactly the same as when they had last seen him at the Galactic Council, except for his expression. Instead of the stern military bearing they remembered, he seemed relaxed and happy. My friends from the Galactic Council, he said warmly, spreading his arms wide. How wonderful to see you. I was hoping someone would come looking for us eventually. Admiral, Captain Ji-woo said, her voice filled with confusion. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be leading the Vortani Empire's space forces. K-sun laughed, a sound none of them had ever heard from him before. Oh, that old life. So much anger and violence. So much pointless conquest. He gestured around the laboratory. This is much better. Here I can use my knowledge to build things instead of destroying them. The humans have taught me so much about peaceful cooperation. Scientist Da-yoon stepped forward, her scanner in her hand. She pointed it at K-sun and frowned at the readings. Sir, I'm detecting some unusual neural activity in your brain. Your thought patterns are different from what they should be. Of course they are, K-sun replied cheerfully. The humans helped me overcome my aggressive conditioning. All that military training that made me want to fight and conquer. Now I can think clearly about what's really important in life. The human named So Young nodded approvingly. It's amazing what people can accomplish when they're not weighed down by violent impulses. Admiral K-sun has made breakthrough discoveries in energy physics. His work will help both our species advance together. Communications Officer Kyung-soo whispered urgently to Captain Ji-woo. Ma'am, something's very wrong here. The admiral I remember would never talk like this. He was a proud warrior. He would never abandon his people. Before Jiwoo could respond, So-young was leading them to another section of the facility. Come, let me show you our integration archive. It's one of our greatest achievements. They entered a vast chamber filled with data storage systems that stretched up into the darkness above. Holographic displays showed information in dozens of different alien languages and formats. This contains the complete knowledge of every species that has visited Earth, explained human researcher Yoonji as she activated one of the displays. Scientific discoveries, cultural histories, technological specifications. Everything our visitors have shared with us during their stays. Engineer Donghwan studied the data streams flowing past on the screens. This is incredible, he said softly. You have complete technical manuals for every major starship design in the galaxy. Weapons specifications, navigation charts, military codes. Our visitors have been very generous with their knowledge, Yoonji said with a smile. Once they understand our peaceful intentions, they're always happy to contribute to our research. Security Chief Nam-woo was looking increasingly agitated. Captain, we need to leave now. This isn't right. But Captain Jiwoo was staring at one particular display that had caught her attention. It showed the complete organizational structure of the Galactic Council, including classified information about fleet movements and strategic planning that should never have been shared with outsiders. How do you have this information? She demanded. Human Administrator Jaemin joined their group. Unlike the scientists, he had the bearing of someone in authority. Captain Jiwoo, isn't it? We've been monitoring your mission since you left Galactic Council space. Your people are very concerned about their missing fleets. You've been watching us? Namwoo's hand was now resting on his weapon grip, of course. We have to be careful about who visits our world. Jaemin's smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in his eyes. We've learned that some species come to Earth with peaceful intentions, while others arrive planning conquest and destruction. He gestured toward a corridor leading deeper into the facility. Would you like to see what happens to the ones who come here planning to hurt us? Despite every instinct screaming at her to refuse, Captain Jiwoo found herself nodding. She had to know what had really happened to the vanished fleets. They walked through several more sections of the complex, passing laboratories where humans and aliens worked side by side on various projects. Everyone they saw appeared happy and cooperative. Too happy, Jiwoo realized. Even the aliens from traditionally hostile species were smiling and chatting pleasantly with their human colleagues. Finally, they reached a viewing gallery overlooking a large chamber. Inside, Jiwoo could see hundreds of aliens from dozens of different species. All of them were engaged in peaceful activities, reading, crafting art, playing games together. It looked like a pleasant social gathering. This is our integration center, Jaemin explained. When visitors first arrive, they often need time to adjust to our way of life. Especially those who came here originally planning violence. Integration? Scientist Daun asked. What do you mean by integration? Jaemin's smile became even wider. Oh, I think you're about to find out firsthand. You see, we've been monitoring your ship since you entered our system. We know you didn't come here planning to attack us, so the process will be much gentler for you. What process? Captain Jiwoo demanded. The process that ensures every visitor to Earth becomes a peaceful, productive member of our growing community, Jaemin replied. The same process that helped Admiral K-sun overcome his violent conditioning. The same process that has turned thousands of would-be conquerors into happy Earth citizens. As he spoke, Jiwoo began to notice something strange. She was feeling unusually calm despite the alarming nature of what she was hearing. Her crew seemed similarly affected, their earlier tension fading into mild curiosity. Don't worry, Jaemin said gently. The nanobots we introduced to your ship's air supply are completely harmless. They'll just help you think more clearly about what's really important in life. The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched far into the darkness above. Hundreds of alien representatives sat in their floating chairs, their voices creating a low buzz of worry and fear. At the center of it all, Admiral K-sun stood tall on his 6 legs, his blue skin darker than usual with stress. Fellow council members, K-sun began, his voice carrying across the vast space. We face a problem unlike any other in our galaxy's history. For 50 years, we have sent our best fleets to conquer one small planet. None have ever returned. The hall grew quiet. Every being present knew about Earth, the tiny blue world on the galaxy's edge. It should have been an easy target. The humans there had barely learned to travel between stars. Their weapons were simple. Their technology was centuries behind the rest of the galaxy. Commander He-Jin floated forward in her chair. Her people, the Zelthari, were known across the galaxy as great warriors, but even she looked troubled. Admiral K-Sun speaks the truth, she said. 3 years ago, we sent Battlefleet Zeta to Earth, 500 ships, each one capable of destroying entire worlds. They entered the Earth system and simply vanished. She pressed a button and images appeared in the air above the council. They showed massive warships, their hulls gleaming with energy weapons. These were our finest vessels, our best warriors. They had orders to take the planet in one day. We expected reports of victory within hours. The images changed to show star charts and communication logs. Instead, we received nothing. No battle reports, no distress calls, no debris fields. It was as if our entire fleet had never existed. High Inquisitor Boram rose from his seat. His species, the Nethys, were known for their cold logic and scientific minds. When Boram spoke, others listened. The Zelthari are not alone in this mystery, he said. Over the past 50 years, my people have sent 4 separate expeditions to Earth. Each one was larger than the last. Each one vanished completely. He gestured with one of his 4 arms and new images appeared. These showed different ships, sleek and dark, built for stealth and surprise attacks. Our first expedition was small, 50 ships. We thought perhaps the humans had hidden defenses. So we sent 200 ships the next time, then 500, finally 1,000 of our best vessels. Boram's large eyes swept across the council. Not one ship returned. Not one signal was received. Long-range scans of Earth show no signs of battle. No destroyed cities. No orbital debris. The human population continues to grow. Their society continues exactly as before. Murmurs of fear and confusion rippled through the hall. Some council members had heard rumors, but few knew the full scope of the mystery. Admiral K-Sun stepped forward again. The humans appear to use primitive technology. Chemical rockets. Simple energy weapons. Their fastest ships take months to travel between their own planets. By every measure, we understand they should be helpless against any one of our fleets. Yet somehow, he continued, his voice growing darker, every fleet we send simply disappears. The humans don't even seem to notice they're under attack. Commander Hyejin stood up from her chair. I have spent months studying this problem. I have reviewed every report, every scan, every piece of data we have about Earth. The conclusion is impossible but undeniable. Something on that planet is making our fleets vanish without a trace. The hall erupted in discussion. Some council members shouted that it was impossible. Others demanded to know why they hadn't been told sooner. A few suggested that Earth had secret allies among the advanced species of the galaxy. High Inquisitor Boram raised all 4 of his arms for silence. There is more, he said when the noise died down. Our deep space monitoring stations have detected something troubling. Ships matching the design of our vanished fleets have been seen leaving Earth's system. The hall fell completely silent. These ships travel to other star systems. They appear to be exploring, not attacking. But they use our technology. Our engine signatures. Our hull designs. Boram's voice was steady, but his large eyes showed fear. Whatever happened to our fleets, their ships are now being used by someone else. Admiral K-Sun nodded grimly. The question we must answer is simple but terrifying. What happens to our warriors when they reach Earth? Are they destroyed, captured, or something worse? An old council member named Telwan spoke from the back of the hall. His species was ancient and wise, known for solving problems that stumped younger races. Perhaps, Telwan said slowly, we have been asking the wrong question. We assume our fleets are being destroyed by Earth's defenses. But what if they are not being destroyed at all? What if they are choosing to stay? The suggestion sent shockwaves through the council. The idea that proud alien warriors would abandon their duty to join primitive humans seemed impossible. Commander Hyejin shook her head. Impossible. Our warriors are trained from birth. They would never abandon their people for any reason. Then we must find out what really happens on Earth, Admiral K-Sun said. I propose we send a small reconnaissance mission. Not a battle fleet, but a single ship with volunteers. Their mission will be to observe and report back. To finally learn the truth about what happens to our people on that planet. High Inquisitor Boram considered this. A dangerous mission. If our battle fleets cannot return, what chance does a small ship have? Perhaps that is the key, Telwan said from his corner. Perhaps Earth only responds to threats. A small, peaceful mission might be able to learn what our war fleets could not. The debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to launch a massive combined fleet, overwhelming Earth with sheer numbers. Others suggested avoiding the planet entirely, declaring it forbidden to all galactic traffic. In the end, Admiral K. Sun's proposal won approval. They would send the reconnaissance ship Seeker's Edge with a crew of 12 volunteers. The mission would be simple: reach Earth, observe what happens to approaching ships, and return with answers. As the council session ended, the volunteers gathered in a smaller chamber. Pilot Taeho checked his flight systems one last time. Scientist Dayun reviewed her scanning equipment. Communications Officer Kyung-soo tested his translation software. They all knew they might not return. 50 years of vanished fleets proved that Earth was dangerous in ways they didn't understand. But the galaxy needed answers. Too many good warriors had already disappeared into the mystery of the small blue planet. Seeker's Edge launched 3 days later, beginning its journey to the edge of the galaxy where Earth waited. Behind them, the great powers of the Galactic Council watched and hoped their volunteers would finally solve the mystery that had puzzled them for 50 years. None of them suspected that Earth had been watching them in return, waiting patiently for the next group of visitors to arrive. The stars shifted back to normal as the Seeker's Edge dropped out of hyperspace. Pilot Taeho felt his stomach settle as the ship's artificial gravity adjusted to normal space. Through the front window, he could see a small yellow star with several planets orbiting around it. "There it is," he said quietly. "The Earth system." Scientist Da-eun was already busy at her station, running scans of everything within sensor range. Her equipment hummed softly as it gathered data. "I'm reading 9 planets total," she reported. "Earth is the third one from the star, just like the report said." Communications Officer Kyung-soo adjusted his headset and began monitoring all radio frequencies. "Lots of chatter from the inner system," he said. "Primitive radio signals, basic digital communications, nothing that suggests advanced technology." Captain Ji-woo stood behind the pilot's seat studying the tactical display. As mission commander, she had to make the hard decisions. "Take us in slowly," she ordered. "Full sensors, but no active scans. We don't want to alert them until we understand what we're dealing with." The small ship began moving toward Earth at a careful pace. As they got closer, more details became clear. Taeyun's instruments showed exactly what the Galactic Council's reports had described. A planet with primitive technology and simple defenses. "I'm seeing orbital stations," Taeyun said, pointing at her screen. "Small ones. They look like early construction platforms, maybe some basic communication satellites." She frowned at her readings. "Their technology level is definitely centuries behind ours." Engineer Dong Hwan was monitoring the ship's defensive systems. "No targeting sensors locked onto us," he reported. "No energy weapons charging up. If they know we're here, they're not acting like it." As they passed Earth's moon, Kyung-soo's equipment began picking up something new. "Captain," he said, his voice filled with surprise, "I'm getting a direct communication signal." "It's aimed right at us, from Earth?" Ji-woo asked. "Yes, ma'am. And it's a greeting. They're welcoming us to their system." Kyung-soo looked confused. "They're asking if we need any assistance with our ship. They want to know if we'd like to meet their diplomatic team." The bridge fell silent. This was not what they had expected. Based on the reports from the Galactic Council, Earth was supposed to be a mysterious threat that made entire fleets disappear. Instead, they were being welcomed like tourists. "Could it be a trap?" asked Security Chief Nam-woo. His job was to protect the crew from any danger. Dayun shook her head. "I'm not reading any hidden weapons systems. No energy buildups. No stealth ships moving to surround us." She looked up from her instruments. "If this is a trap, it's not a technological one." Captain Ji-woo thought for a moment. The mission was to discover what happened to the vanished fleets. Maybe the answer wasn't about battles and weapons. Maybe it was about something else entirely. "Kyung-soo, respond to their signal," she ordered. "Tell them we're explorers from the Galactic Council. We're interested in peaceful contact with their civilization." Kyung-soo's fingers moved over his controls. After a few minutes, he looked up with amazement. They're excited, Captain. They say they've been hoping for contact with other intelligent species. They want us to land at a place called South Korea for a formal meeting." "Just like that?" Nam-woo asked suspiciously. "No security checks? No questions about our weapons or intentions?" They did ask one thing, Kyung-soo said. They want to know if we have any dietary restrictions or special environmental needs. They're planning some kind of welcome ceremony. Engineer Dong-hwan checked his instruments again. Still no signs of hostile activity. No fleets moving to intercept us. Whatever happened to those other expeditions, it wasn't a normal military engagement. Captain Jiwoo made her decision. Set course for the landing coordinates they provided. But keep all defensive systems ready. This might be how they lure ships in. As the Seeker's Edge descended through Earth's atmosphere, the crew got their first close look at human civilization. Cities sprawled across the continents below, connected by roads and railways. Aircraft moved through the skies on chemical engines. Everything looked exactly as primitive as their intelligence reports had suggested. Population appears to be around 8 billion, Da-eun reported, mostly concentrated in urban areas. Technology level consistent with early space age development. She paused, looking at her readings more carefully. Wait, I'm seeing some anomalies. What kind of anomalies? Jiwoo asked. Energy signatures that don't match their apparent technology level. Deep underground installations that are much more advanced than their surface buildings. Da-eun frowned at her screen. It's like they have two different technology levels running side by side. The ship touched down at the designated landing site in a large, flat field surrounded by mountains. Almost immediately, a convoy of ground vehicles approached from the nearby human settlement. Here they come, Taeho said, watching through the ship's cameras. The vehicles were simple wheeled transports clearly built with basic technology. But the humans who got out of them moved with confidence and purpose. They weren't acting like primitives who had never seen alien technology before. A tall human male approached the ship's main airlock. He was wearing what appeared to be formal diplomatic clothing and carried no visible weapons. Behind him, a small group of other humans waited patiently. They want us to open the airlock, Kyung-soo reported. The lead human says his name is Minho. He's the head of their First Contact Protocol Team. First Contact Protocol Team, Captain Jiwoo repeated. These people have a team specifically for meeting alien visitors? Apparently so, ma'am. Jiwoo looked around at her crew. They had come here expecting to solve the mystery of vanished battle fleets. Instead, they were being greeted by humans who seemed to have been expecting them all along. Well, she said finally, we came here to find answers. I guess we need to go out there and get them. She looked at Security Chief Namwoo. Keep your weapons ready, but don't show them unless I give the order. The airlock cycled open with a soft hiss. Captain Jiwoo stepped out first, followed by her crew. The Earth air was clean and fresh, with a slight breeze carrying the scents of growing plants. The human named Minho stepped forward with a warm smile. Welcome to Earth, he said in perfectly clear galactic standard language. We're very happy to meet you. We have so much to show you. Behind him, the other humans smiled and nodded in agreement. They all seemed genuinely pleased to see the alien visitors. Captain Jiwoo felt a chill run down her spine. These humans were acting like they had been expecting this visit for a long time, like they knew exactly what to do when alien ships arrived on their world. Thank you for your welcome, she replied carefully. We're honored to make contact with your people. Minho's smile grew wider. Oh, but you're not our first alien visitors, he said casually. We've had many others over the years. Would you like to meet some of them?